President Obama. He says he's going to take the fight to them. We're going to get strong financial reform. And as you'll see in his address over the weekend, he did take the fight to the Republicans and was unusually strong with his language against the opposition. Let's go to clip number 5 and watch that.
There were many causes of the turmoil that ripped through our economy over the past 2 years. But above all, this crisis was caused by the failures in the financial industry. What's clear is that this crisis could have been avoided if Wall Street firms were more accountable, if financial dealings were more transparent, and if consumers and shareholders were given more information and authority to make decisions. But that didn't happen. And that's because special interests have waged a relentless campaign to thwart even basic common sense rules to prevent abuse and protect consumers. In fact, the financial industry and its powerful lobby have opposed modest safeguards against the kinds of reckless risks and bad practices that led to this very crisis. The consequences of this failure of responsibility from Wall Street to Washington are all around us. 8 million jobs lost, trillions in savings erased, countless dreams diminished or denied. I believe we have to do everything we can to ensure that no crisis like this ever happens again. Now, unsurprisingly, these reforms have not exactly been welcomed by the people who profit from the status quo, as well as their allies in Washington. This is probably why the special interests have spent a lot of time and a lot of money lobbying to kill or weaken the bill. Just the other day, in fact, the leader of the Senate Republicans and the chair of the Republican Senate Campaign Committee met with 24 top Wall Street executives to talk about how to block progress on this issue. Lo and behold, when he returned to Washington, the Senate Republican leader came out against common sense reforms that we've proposed. In doing so, he made the cynical and deceptive assertion that reform would somehow enable future bailouts, when he knows that it would do exactly the opposite. Every day we don't act, the same system that led to bailouts remains in place, with the exact same loopholes and the exact same liabilities. And if we don't change what led to the crisis, we will doom ourselves to repeat it. That's the truth.
All right. Now, the good part of that is that he directly challenged McConnell and the Republicans, saying they met with the bankers, and then lo and behold, they tried to kill the bill. Okay. Now, what did I tell you? If he takes the fight to them, since he's the president, it has a lot of weight. Then, when Mitch McConnell went on CNN with Candy Crowley, she was all over him. She was asking the same questions that Obama brought up. Why? Because he brought them up. If he hadn't brought them up, I guarantee you she wouldn't have asked. So that's fantastic. That's the good news. The bad news, well, over the weekend, the Associated Press reported that the Democrats will capitulate. They will take out the $50 billion fund that the bankers would put money into to be able to use it when one of the banks goes under to break them apart. So that provision, which was never a bailout, which was provided by the bankers would have paid into it, not the taxpayer. Perfectly sensible. Not far enough if you ask me, but sensible. If the Associated Press is right, they have source at the Treasury Department saying that will be removed. Why? Why do you do it? Why do you keep giving in to them? So like we get encouraged, hey, look, tough talk, etc., and then you pull the rug out. You got him on the ropes. Why are you letting that go? Now, he's being quote-unquote tough in some of the other areas, like he's saying, hey, look, if you send me something that does not regulate derivatives, I'll veto it. Okay, good, that's positive, right? But I wouldn't give this concession. There's no reason for this. See, the problem, and I guess the Obama administration still doesn't get this, is that when you capitulate to them on issues like this, when you're right, factually speaking, you pull the rug out from underneath yourself. It appears that you were wrong, that's why you gave in to them. Because why else would you give in to them if they weren't right? That's what a logical person would think. So you destroy your own argument, and you do great damage to the reform movement that you want to push forward. And you embolden the Republicans to keep attacking you, because whenever they do, you give in. It hasn't happened yet, and maybe the Associated Press is wrong. But if they're right that right now the Obama White House is asking the Senate to pull that provision out of the bill, that's just so dumb and such bad politics, it's hard to wrap your mind around it. Because their gut reaction is give in. Oh, we got challenged. Okay, good, here, take it. And this is the issue that we were excited about just last week. Not because their reform is so tough, their new regulations were going to be effective. No, but at least they were fighting back a little bit. At least we were going to get a little bit of regulation that made a little bit of sense. Now, this isn't, look, I don't want you to get the wrong idea. The $50 billion fund is not the most important part of this bill. If that was their one compromise, again, I could probably live with it because it's not enough anyway. If the banks go under, $50 billion isn't going to cut it, right? And so, but right now, they're going to go back to Tim Geithner's old plan. He's probably ecstatic that the Republicans, quote unquote, attacked this. The old plan was, and what's apparently going to be the new plan, is that after the banks go under, then they'll have to give into a fund that would break them apart. They already went under. Where the hell are they going to get the money then? No. You know what's going to happen? Incredibly ironically, that's when we're going to have a real bailout. That's when the taxpayers are going to have to step in because the banks didn't put the money up front, which is exactly what the Republicans want. The bankers paid them to do exactly their bidding on that issue so that we would have more bailouts, not less. Obama pointed that out, and then he backpedals on it. I mean, you ask why I get frustrated. Sometimes you look at it and you think, like, am I the one that took the crazy pill, or do they not know how to play this game? Or do they not want to play it effectively? That's even scarier.